This video is going to introduce a more advanced online website called Sketchpad that will allow you to add a lot of details and ideas to your epic superhero. Sketchpad requires patience and practice. It may be better suited for students who are very comfortable using a computer mouse. When you open the Sketchpad app, this is what you will see. All of the white space is an open canvas, but I like to make it the size of a paper so that I know where the edges or borders of my document is. And to do that, I'm going to hit this plus sign down here, and I'm going to choose in the paper 8.5 by 11. It's also in parentheses a letter. This is the size of a normal piece of printer paper, and you can choose if you would like to have a different background. For my drawing, I'm going to make the background be a grid, and I can change this later. In changing it to a letter size, and I'm scrolling up and down, I can now see the edge of the paper so I know where I am creating this drawing. I'm going to now use some of the art making tools, and I want you to take a moment to familiarize yourself with the tools on your left and right. You have a pop-up that tells you what each tool is, and I'm going to go into the art making tools. Right now I see a feather icon that says calligraphy. That's not the tool that I would like to use, but when I click in that section, it opens up a variety of brushes. I'm going to choose the pencil, and for this I have different options. I am leaving mine at normal, at a fill of 0, a black outline of 100%, and a 3 pixel line width. Here's what this looks like. If I were to increase the pixels, it increases the width of the line. If I were to set the opacity of my outline lower, it creates something that is see-through and I can add layers to. If I were to pull this opacity up and the width to where it was, and now I'm going to add the fill. Fill is not normally something we'll use unless you'd like to. It creates a shape space filled in, but for me, I'm not going to use it. I want to delete these things, so I'm going to take my select tool and I am scrolling across with that green option to select all of the marks that I made, and now I'm going to hit the delete key. Back to my pencil. With my fill at 0, I'm going to change the color from black to a light gray. I do this to make it act more like a regular pencil, and now I'm going to mark out where I want to make the head. I'm going to be working on designing the mask digitally, so I'm shaping out a head, and the pencil is going to be erased later, so I can make as many lines as I need to. I'm deciding where the eyes are going to be, where the nose is going to be, and where the mouth is going to be. And then this is where I'm going to make the middle. So now that I have those gesture lines, I'm going to go ahead and move to a pen. With the pen, I'm going to change the outline to black, and there's one different setting change. Instead of one line, you now see 2. A pen has a pressure of when you lift it off, it tapers. So here's my starting line, and then it gets thicker and thinner depending on the stroke. I don't want those, so I'm going to select them and delete. Here's my pen. I've got my outline. I'm going to go ahead and stick with this and start creating my mask. If you make a mistake, it is no big deal. Now that I have my general pen outline, I'm going to go ahead and start touching up and erasing the pencil. To do this, I'm going to go over to the layers, and if you notice, I have a lot of pen marks. Every time you pick your mouse up and let go, it makes a pen stroke or a pencil stroke, and I want to go ahead and erase all the pencil areas. If you use the same tool and you don't know where something stopped, this little eyeball will turn on and off a layer. I'm going to hold the top pencil and the Shift key on the keyboard to select the bottom one, and I'm going to use now the Delete key. And it took away all of those pencil lines, so now I'm left with my mask design that's on top of this cartoon character. And then I also have a pen stroke down here that I'd like to change. So what I'm going to do in my layers is find which line I want to erase, and then I'm going to hit delete. You can also click on here. Why wouldn't I use the eraser tool? There's an eraser tool in here that allows you to erase sections, but here's what's going to happen. It creates an eraser layer, which means I can move that eraser layer to anywhere I want. And that is helpful and not helpful at the same time. I'm going to right now delete that. I think the eraser tool can be very tricky. If you'd like to use it, it's going to create a checkerboard, and that means that you can't see anything at all. From erasing the pen, I can now simply fix my line to here. What do I accidentally have set that could bother me later? The fill button. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to select it, delete it, and I'm going to take my fill back down to 0. Drawing with a mouse is not easy, especially if you're using a trackpad. Give yourself permission to make mistakes and adjust lines as you need to, and then erase them when you want. One of the nice things you can also do is you can reshape a line, or you can curve a line a little bit more. And I'm going to stop right there. Now this is my outline section, and I want to take all of these pen marks and I'm going to put them in one group. I'm going to do that by taking the top pen and scrolling down to the bottom. I'm using the Shift key on the keyboard. That selects all of the pens. And now I'm going to hit this folder that says Group. They have grouped all 35 pen strokes into one. If I want to rename it, I can. Do I double click it? I double click it and I can rename it, and I'm going to call this the black pen so that I know what it is later. And now that I have those grouped, if I needed to see those pen strokes again, I would use this little arrow key down. You can also control the entire group with just one selection. So this is now one selection, and I can make it smaller. I could copy and paste it if I wanted to do 2 mask designs. So I'm going to go with one here, and then I'm going to hit Control C and Control V, and that makes a copy that I can then drag. And if you see here, it now has black pen 35 and black pen 35. So I have 2 copies of the same thing. If I click this eyeball, it means I can't see the other one, but it doesn't mean that it's erased. Turning off the sight just means you can't see it. So I'm going to now go into using some color in some of these spaces, and I'm going to try some of the other art tools out. I would like to use the paintbrush, and for the paintbrush, the blur, do you see how it shows you a little demo of what it will look like? I want to have a nice clean line, And I'm going to start adding some hair color, and I'm going to give my panda Pop some pink hair. And this is where it's going to get a little bit crazy. It looks like I'm doing a terrible job coloring over it, doesn't it? Wow, that's a bad job. But what I'm going to do now is take that paintbrush and drag it below. Do you see how now the outline is sitting on top? I'm going to do the same with these ears. I'm going to go with you can change the color to those. Because I still have this selected, when I go to change the color to use the paintbrush, it changed it over. Now that it's not selected, I am going to grab this color for these panda ears, and I am going to go over and down, and because my brush isn't set to be small enough in those areas, I am just going to get as close as I can for right now, and then I'm going to make my line width on my brush much smaller. If you can't see something, you can also use your zoom feature. Whoa, too zoomed. Or you can zoom to fit. I am going to drag myself over that little X. I have to click my paintbrush to use it again. And you can see I'm super zoomed in because it's a little bit pixelated. I am still trying to stay within these lines, even though I know I'm going to drop it behind. And get myself over to this side. Alright, and now I'm going to zoom back out. Oop, I have one more spot that I need to do. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and add some detail lines. And to drop this behind the mask, I have a whole bunch of paintbrushes. I'm going to scroll down, hold the Shift key, and I'm going to group these. And then this group I'm going to label ears, because that's the ears of the mask. If you don't want to layer, or you don't want to worry about labeling your groups, that's fine. Just know that it may be harder later to figure out what you're trying to do. And now I'm going to go ahead and create the color of her skin, and I think I'm going to find my own color. So if you go down into this menu, you can control what kind of colors you find, and I am going to find a nice creamy peanut butter. I think that's about the right color that I need. And I'm going to increase this because this is just the skin. And even though it looks really messy down here, you don't have to worry about that because those are the areas that we are going to be changing up. I am going to think about this mask center now, and I want to get I'm gonna get the white, and this area is going to be white. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add the paintbrushes all to their own group. So it seems like there's more layers than it knows how to select right now. I'm still holding. There we go. That took a moment. Be patient with it. I mean, it is a free program, and I know that sometimes it's frustrating when you feel like, hey, why is this internet website not able to handle all 149 of my brush strokes? Because it's free. It happens sometimes. So I am going to turn my black pen. Actually, I'm going to take this one. That was my duplicate one, and delete it. And I'm going to bring these below. And I'm really wondering where my hair went. Did I accidentally delete the black lines for my hair? Uh-oh. I guess so. If those are turned on, and all of those... You know what? I'm going to make my life easy and just go ahead and do it again. I am going to open up the pen, and Did it just change? Okay. Because I had this selected, see, I'm still learning too sometimes. Because I had this selected and then I went to change it to a paint tool, it changed the brush stroke. So you have to make sure you don't have anything selected. Then I'm going to make sure that my layers are as they're supposed to be. So I've got my black pen on top, my mask piece, my hair is where I want it to be. I have deselected everything. Now we try to go ahead and add in our pen, and I'm going to redo this hair. Get my line tool back down. I'm going to add these, and by doing that I'm going to drop them into the black pen. So instead of making a new group of these, I selected them and I'm dragging them into that folder. Alright. I'm somewhat confused on what happened there. I give up. Not even going to worry about it. So now that I have this, what else do I want to add? I think I want to give her a logo. I'm going to go ahead down and give her a neck. So I'm going to fill this space in now. I am going to use let's get some color up in here. I am going to drag this, and if I go around like that, bam. Can I make her cape like that too? So now we've just gone to Ridiculous Town. We're not going to do those last two because that's just not how that's gonna go. I am going to see what else I might use for some of these tools. Oh, I wonder if I can save this color. This is C1975A. Is it going? No, it's not. What if I were to... Oh, well. Oh, there's the eyedropper. Goodness me. I was worried about that. Okay. So the eyedropper is going to be really helpful because I want her neck to match, and I picked that skin color out. So in a color selection, if you are trying to find the right color, you can use an eyedropper tool to select that color. And now as I get into the paintbrush, I am going to go down here and use kind of the same plan as before. And then here I will fix these two paintbrushes to go in the ears. And now I'm going to get, I'm not over this like rainbow force field. I'm going to use another pink, whoops, what just happened there? Because I had the select tool. I am going to not keep doing that. Deselect. So, minus the fact that that needed that. Alright. This is now going to go underneath here. And you see I've now cheated to make my product. And where did my ears go? What on earth happened to my ears? So again, I am fairly certain that this program is going to be frustrating for a lot of students, which is why I don't recommend it unless you either have a lot of time on your hands or you are really interested in doing some digital drawing, because there's a learning curve. There's even a learning curve for me, and I'm somebody that knows how to use Photoshop and Illustrator, but this is not the easiest program. However, it is also free. So this is my final design that I am going to stick with, and for goodness sakes, since I lost my panda fill, can I just fill you in? Of course not. That's going to change the background. Alright, we'll change the background to a color, and I'm going to do one last thing to fill in my ears. And then I'm calling it a day. I've got one. I've got two. I'm gonna drag those. I'm sure I'll find wherever I accidentally either deleted or turned off the site or something when I review this video that I've made. But beyond that, here is my final design drawing that I've done digitally, and I would like to save it, so I'm going to click this export button, I'm going to hit download, and now we have to choose what are we going to download it as, a PNG or a JPEG. I am going to do the easy thing and stick with a JPEG, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a higher quality and hit download. And here is my drawing as a separate file that I can now use.